there one little thing. Godfrey isn't here due to a very bad bout of flu, but we won't let that take from the celebrations. He's ably represented by his good wife Nora and his son Michael. So just to get the ball rolling, I call on Father Gary Doyle to broadcast the
Members of Parliament, Senators, Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and friends of Godfrey all, and especially welcome to you all. It's my privilege as constituency chairperson to say a few words to introduce the various speakers. Now we've only 3 speakers and they're all limited to a certain amount of time. Now 2 of them I can deal with because they're not any bigger than I am. Mr. Dukes is a problem, and he's well been told he's like to wander on a bit. So that I'm trying to embarrass him now, I'm trying to keep these 2 words short. Now just to bring you up to date, Godfrey had a bit of a flu during the week and he went out on business, county council business today and had to return home. He became slightly indisposed. But he's ably represented by his 8 children and his good lady wife Nora. Now I want to pay a special tribute to various people and make us, I don't like singling out people, but it's not a particularly filial function. We have his fellow councillors from Wicklow County Council. We have 2 of his parliamentary colleagues, and I have to mention them, Mr. Johnny Fox and his good wife with him tonight, and we also have Liz McManus. Did she bring John with her? It has to do as well. It seems to be a common complaint. Now, we have, as I say, councillors then from various adjoining constituencies, and we extend a great welcome to them all. Now, I have a few things written here. I had a great speech written out during the week, and it gave Finn a fall down the bloody banks. But I can't use it. I can't use it in deference to a lot of our old friends here. Adverse them, but I want to, as far as I'm concerned, his greatest achievement is not as a public representative, is of a good, sound, decent family man, and it's a good book says, by your fruits you shall know them, and there are 5 sons here tonight and 3 lovely girls, and it's a tribute to him and to his wife Laura. Anybody who brings 8 children into this world deserves a laurel wreath, and deserves defended the breach against Lars Porcena. What was the term? Thomas Babington Macaulay. I said they gave him of the farmland that was a public right that such as 2 small oxen could plough from day to night. It wouldn't make a living what 2 oxen would plough now. But certainly this little tribute that you people are doing tonight it's only just desserts. There are a few bits I will explore later on. I want to interrupt my few words now by extending a special welcome to the last Clown Cola of Dáil, and we are very privileged to welcome Deputy Joe Jacob. Joe, sorry, one of the problems of getting near 50 not alone, they're not letting me play rugby anymore, but I have to put on the glasses to read my own writing. Now, if you're looking for a zealous demagogue, or a raving fanatic, you won't find it in Godfrey Timmins. Now, he's one of those self-effacing men that got along with the work without the trumpet blast or fanfares. And the cross-party lines, as everybody knows, and you've shown it by your presence here tonight, a mighty man. Now, the sporting people would refer to this as a testimonial. Now, most guys, when they have the testimonial, they put their boots up, but there's no suggestion in the wide earthly world that Godfrey has any intention of doing it. And it is not true that there's a painting of himself when he was 21 hanging in the attic. Right? I'm sure that's not lost on a lot of people. Neither is it true that he has 3 or 4 horses in training in this show. Neither is it true that those gold cufflinks he wears were given to his grandfather by Queen Victoria. And finally, that other one is not true. I had it written down somewhere today and I can't recall what it is. But certainly we'll hand over now. I know I'm saying too much, but I hand over to Alan Dukes. Alan, you're going to say a few words now. I don't know what they are, but we'll appeal to him to make it short.
Sit down now, I'd start. Because being a good and orderly member of the Dáil, I know that one is never supposed to speak when the chair is standing. I would have to say, Mr. Chairman, Reverend gentlemen, deputies and senators, councillors, and ladies and gentlemen otherwise, that I feel considerably intimidated by the chairman. And as you know as well as I do, once you get one theory against you, you might as well give up, because everywhere you turn there are theories. Although he obviously believes something about a good speech that I heard provincial of the Dominican Order saying lately. I would never say this myself if I hadn't heard the Reverend gentleman say it. But Barry obviously believes this. He said, a good speech should be like a miniskirt. It should be long enough to cover the essentials and short enough to maintain interest. Politicians in trouble, especially male politicians, and more especially when Nicola Grandis is around. Quite sure no politician is ever on a night off. But it's a great pleasure for me to have been asked to pay a tribute to Godfrey. Before so many people who know Godfrey so well for so long, I suppose it would be a little bit tedious to detail all of Godfrey's political activities. He was first elected to the County Council in 1950 and has seen unbroken service since then. He has contested, as far as I can count, 10 general elections and been successful in 9 of them. And that is a record of endurance that stands on its own, quite apart from anything else. But there's more than that, of course, about Godfrey. Barry has said a little about what we might call Godfrey's quiet style. He is probably the original quiet man who was always there. But there's more to be said than that, because I think when you look at Godfrey's career and what he's done, and compare it to the popular wisdom about politicians, you find that, of course, all generalizations, even the best of them, are utterly untrue when you apply them to any particular situation. Now, you know what they say about politicians. I'm sure you could be a good deal more colourful about it than I would be. I'm very modest fellow in that way. But you know, they say, for example, that politicians are like bananas. They start off green, they're all crooked, and they end up yellow. Which, of course, is why I always stand up straight. Apart from the fact that it's the only way I'll intimidate people like Barry Deering. But, you know, that's the popular wisdom about politicians. And a great many people say that without ever thinking of who they're talking about. Leaving myself out of the reckoning now for the moment, as I must, being a modest kind of a fellow. I don't think anybody here would ever say that about Godfrey. Nor indeed do I think anybody here would say that about any of the colleagues that Godfrey has had in this constituency of Wicklow, representing the people of this county. Nor indeed do I think anybody would say it about any of his colleagues in Wicklow County Council. There's none of us, I think, least of all Godfrey, who always agrees with everybody he meets. There's none of us who hasn't been in some dispute one way or another with colleagues in other parties. But at least most of us would hope to say, as I know Godfrey would, that any differences of opinion he has are honest ones, that any arguments he has are from conviction, except on the odd occasion when we have arguments just to keep ourselves amused, which we all do from time to time, and that any differences he has with his constituents is simply because the variety of the human condition and the variety of situations you meet in any constituency is so great that you couldn't possibly be on the same side as everybody. Now, I think, reflecting on Godfrey's political career so far, I think an awful lot of the people who spout out this great popular wisdom about politicians, to their own frustration, I think, and contributing to a general feeling of cynicism about politics, they might do well to reflect on that kind of thing and think a little bit more of the reasons why we have arguments, why we have differences of opinion. Godfrey has been a representative of Wicklow since 1950 in one way or another. He represents a bit more now than he used to. And I have to say that I'm delighted to have the opportunity here this evening of meeting some of my own separated brethren from the eastern part of Kildare, who have now only temporarily, I hope, been entrusted to use Lough and Wicklow. I would dearly love to have them back. And I hope that you're generous enough in spirit here in Wicklow, and I'm sure you are, I know Godfrey is, to give them back to me when the day comes that you're reorganised again and Wicklow becomes once more a constituency standing alone with its noted independence. Although we'd always be happy, of course, to take your sheep for holidays down on the Curragh Plains. We would charge a bit more for the duty. The course of politics, again, is something that I think would benefit, and our view of the course of politics would benefit from thinking more about the political career of our friend Godfrey. Because Godfrey has weathered a great many political storms. There have been many controversies, many difficult issues in his council area and in the county of Wicklow over the 43 years since he first got elected. And I suppose that there are a great many people who would at various times have voted for Godfrey, who at the next relevant election said they would never vote for him again, and maybe some who even did that. And who would think, after the passage of time, looking back on it, that maybe they were wrong to change their mind. But controversy is part of what politics is always going to be. Controversy will always be something that surrounds any politician who's doing his or her job. And I often wonder, when I hear people say that yes, are an awful crowd, why can't you ever agree? And our last Count Borda says that from time to time too. Only if he really gets vexed at it, he can ask you to leave. Although I have never been asked to leave by our President, last Count Borda, and I can assure you, Joe, I have no ambition to be one of them. But people say, why can't you agree? And then they will happily go off and they'll go out for a few drinks with their friends, or they'll even go and visit their mother, or their brothers or sisters, and they'll have a discussion. And you'll find, sure enough, within about 10 minutes, there will be several different points of view in the discussion. And sometimes it will be about something important, and the differences will be honestly held. Sometimes people will argue with one another just for the pure pleasure of arguing. Now we, of course, in politics never do that kind of thing, because we don't have the time. But we are tempted from time to time, when we see an outbreak of consensus coming along, to jizz it up a little bit more. I was very unhappy, mind you, that Barry had taken the instructions not to give down the banks to assist our party, so to speak. But I do think it would have been a bit unfair of Barry to give down the banks to Fianna Fáil today, because, I mean, really, in all fairness, with their RDEC coming up, we should say this, it's not actually their fault. It's the Labour Party that should get down the banks. So, I mean, let's be even-handed about it. And I suppose, you know, one of the great talents of a politician is one that has been displayed in a great many ways for a great many years by Godfrey Timmins. Because Godfrey, I suppose, would be regarded as one of the gentlest practitioners of the art of politics. And yet, you know, when you think back over what Godfrey has been saying to you, it doesn't take you too long to figure out who's been getting down the banks from Godfrey. And he can be very sharp about it too. I know, I'm conscious now of the twitch in Barry's shoulder here. He's getting ready to leap up and take the microphone away from him. And stand up on his toes and he won't be able to reach. But it would be wrong to conclude any set of brief remarks about Godfrey on an occasion like this without, first of all, of course, wishing him well, and I hope that he has a very speedy recovery. I know he was at a meeting that some of us were at on Monday night, and he shouldn't have been there, but, you know, that's his particular bent. He will always be available, he will always be available to engage in any activities. But of course, the other thing that we all know about Godfrey is that he is an absolute 150% true blue fanatic about Gaelic football. And mind you, I have to say that when you talk to Godfrey, he's a very patient man, he's a very understanding man, and he's a very diplomatic man. But if you talk about anybody getting the better of Wicklow on the football pitch, or even worse, even pretending to have the slightest ambition to getting the better of Baltinglass, then his patience and his gentleness gradually, very quickly disappear. Godfrey, I suppose, is one of the people in Dáil Éireann who has the most compendious knowledge of what happens in Gaelic football. And one of the great relaxations that you can have, and it's something that we've all had the pleasure of doing from time to time, is to get Godfrey to start talking about football. It's the greatest therapy that you'll ever have, the greatest relaxation, and one of the greatest pleasures to hear somebody talking so knowledgeably about something which he so obviously loves so well. Mr. Chairman, in spite of your strictness, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with so many people here in paying tribute to Godfrey. And I know you'll all join me in wishing him a great many more years of representing the people of this county, both in the county council and on the other associated bodies and in Dáil Éireann. Thank you very much indeed.
Now that just reminded me the other untruth I was about to explode regarding Godfrey. It is not true that for the past 7 years that he is the sole selector on the Malta team. Now, just when you're on GA, that's played with a round ball. I'm more interested in the other code. But I have to say this, that the first time Baltinglass won the county championship, they won it with 3 to 11 men, and they were the 3 best players on that bloody field. I omitted to mention that in our midst tonight we have Councillor Tom Honan, who is Chairman of Wicklow County Council, and we have also the County Manager, Mr. Blaise Tracy. So Godfrey would be very pleased that both these gentlemen were very busy people. Now I'll let you in on another little secret. Both of these gentlemen, it's their second dinner in the Downshire today. and they're not going to contradictory sources. It's obviously true. Now, my next pleasant task is to ask Mr. John Bruton, the President of Fine Gael, to make a nice little presentation to Godfrey's eldest son, who will accept it on Godfrey's behalf. Mr. Bruton, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Deputies, Senators, Councillors, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to have the honour of joining with Alan Dukes and with his colleagues from all parties and from none in paying tribute to Godfrey Timmins. And I suppose it's not a bad thing that he's not here, because he'd be embarrassed with all the very kind but also very true things that are to be said about his career. Now, I had a prepared speech for this occasion, and it was 4 or 5 pages about the problem in Northern Ireland, a problem which I know is of enormous concern and a lot of unspoken worry to a lot of people here. And I'm not going to deliver that speech. But I think there's a lesson in the political career of Godfrey Timmins for all of us who are concerned to solve that problem. And that lesson is that politics in the final analysis is about getting on with other people, of being kind to other people, of understanding other people's worries, other people's fears, and other people's defiance. And if I were to actually go through all 166 members of the Dáil and try to identify those who have in greatest measure those qualities of personal kindness, understanding of other people, and above all, self-effacement, I don't think there's any more outstanding politician on those 3 criteria of what makes a good politician than Godfrey Timmins. Now, qualities and say, well, that's not terribly important. You know, it's your ideas or your ability to make speeches or your qualities of analysis or something like that are more important. But they're not, actually. It is brilliant people with brilliant ideas insisting that it's only their idea that's the only way forward that have probably provided the biggest obstacle to a settlement of our problems on this island than any other. It's people insisting that their way is the only way that have kept this island divided. And it's people like Godfrey Timmins practicing those qualities of personal kindness, of putting yourself in the other person's shoes rather than insisting on wearing your own, that will solve the problems of Ireland. So I think that in celebrating the career of Godfrey Timmins, we're celebrating those qualities that will help solve this country's problems. We're celebrating not just a man, but an idea about political life. Now, I was doing a little bit of research before coming here, and Godfrey Timmins is within 2 years, I believe, of breaking our record in Wicklow politics. Because the late James Everett was elected to the Dáil in 1923. And if I'm not mistaken, he served it in 1968, which is a continuous career in Wicklow politics of 45 years. I believe it's the longest continuous career of political life in the politics of this great county to date. In 2 years' time, Godfrey Timmins will break that record, and he will go on, I think, to break many more records in the representation of the people of this great county. And he's able to do that. It's not an accident. It's not just because he lives in West Wicklow and the West Wicklow people are notoriously loyal to their own. It's not for that reason that he has continued to be so successful in politics. It's because he has those qualities of personal kindness and consideration and self-effacement that are recognised by the people of Wicklow, that perhaps might not be recognised quite so well in other constituencies where people look for more superficial qualities in their politicians. That's why he has broken, or is about to break, the record in representation of the people of Wicklow, precisely because he is a good politician and the people of Wicklow know it, and they have the judgment to keep him there because he has those qualities. I'd also like to say, having served at a cabinet table with another Wicklow politician, Liam Kavanagh, that I think one of the great things about politics in Wicklow, and it's not something that I've found in any other county, and I haven't found it in Meath either, and that is that you will never hear Wicklow politicians speaking ill of one another. I don't know whether it's some form of Freemasonry that they operate, but they always speak well of one another. And I remember Godfrey was always saying what a nice guy Liam Kavanagh was, and Liam Kavanagh equally was telling me what a nice guy Godfrey Timmins is. I think that says something about how this county is as well run as it is, because it has politicians who know that you get more done by the kind word than the